Welcome to part 2 on how to build a chatbot app for Android. If you haven't already done so, please check out part 1 where I give a brief tour of the chatbot that we'll be attempting to build in these tutorials. And also just a little reminder that if you want to fast forward and just grab the files and just start playing with it, with the raw files, you can do so using the link in the description. So what I'm going to be using today is something called AppyBuilder. AppyBuilder.com is free to use, and it's very similar to Inventor or Thunkable, but I find that AppyBuilder it's easier to monetize your apps. It's easier to add in those adverts and those banners, and this is something we'll be covering later on in these tutorials. So today we're just going to be covering the very basics, so buttons, speech recognitions, inputs and outputs, that sort of thing. So when you log in, you will be greeted with a similar screen like this, and any projects that you create will be listed here. Obviously I haven't got any at the minute, so we're going to create a new one. So start a project, give this project a name. This is not the name that comes under the icon of your app icon on your phone. It's just the project name relevant to AppyBuilder. So we're just going to call it simple as chatbot. So when you click OK, it'll set it all up, and it will take you through to the screens that we can use to configure the app. Okay, so here, building in AppyBuilder, it's like a game of two halves. The first half is designing what it looks like on screen, which is this screen here, and we'll be using the blocks option later on to configure everything behind the scenes. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to first grab a layout. So further down you'll see a layout. Okay, so we can drag in various arrangements here, and what we're going to be doing is just dragging a virtual arrangement over here. So any components that we put in here will be arranged vertically. They'll be stacked on top of one another. On the right here we have our properties, and we can specify how high that layout is. So we're going to fill the parent, so we're going to maximize as much of the screen as possible, and likewise with the width we're going to fill parent as well. We can also set the horizontals and vertical alignments, so we're going to centralize everything. Okay, so everything that we drop in here will be centralized and they'll be stacked vertically, which is perfect for what we need. First thing we need is a button, don't we? Because in our chatbot we are going to press a button and we're going to provide our input in the form of speech. So here we have our simple button, and again you'll notice on the right hand side here the properties change, and the properties are listed regarding this button, and we can change them to whatever we want to. In this case we're going to change the text on the button to just simply press me, and we have control over the type of text we use, whether it's bold or the font size, that sort of thing, but we're just going to keep it nice and simple. Press me, and then it will start receiving an input from us. So the input is going to be speech. Okay, so if we scroll down further we can look in the media section, and we've got a speech recognizer. So we just pick that up, drag it in. Nothing displays on the screen because it's a non-visible component, and we can see it down here. So if we click on that, we can see it's added to our application. Okay, and let's get the chatbot displaying a response in text form. So text on screen is displayed using labels. So again, back into the user interface section. It will take some time to navigate your way around these menus, but they're pretty self-explanatory. So in user interface we grab a label, okay, and we'll drag that label up across there. Okay, so it says text for label 1, and that's what's going to be displayed until we state otherwise. So it's probably best to change the text to something more sensible to start with, just to say, we'll just say simply hello. So it says hello, and we press that button and then we can interact with it. So we have all the elements we need. So let's get started. If we head into the top right hand corner we can see the blocks. Okay, so we click on the blocks, And this is where we are able to detail all our logic to do with our application. So those who are familiar with the likes of Scratch and other visual programming languages, it's laid out in a very, very similar fashion, like control, logic, maths, text, variables, that sort of thing. Okay, we can see all the components we've added here as well. And if we click on, say, our button, we have all the blocks we need to control and use our button. The one we're after though is this one, when button 1 is clicked. So whatever blocks we put in here, our device will only run should button 1 be clicked. Okay, so the first thing we need to do then is await an input. So what we're going to do, we're going to fire up the speech recognizer. So what that'll do is when we click the button, it'll start listening for our voice. So we provide an input to say like, hello there, how are you, that sort of thing. And if we go back into speech recognizer, after we've got the text, input, whatever we put in here will then run. Okay, but it won't run until we've actually spoken something and it's able to work out what's being said. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to create a variable, and this variable is what we're going to save that response again. So we're going to call it simple as input. Okay, and our input to start with is just going to be a blank piece of text. Okay, but once we have we've spoken to our device and it's worked out what we've said, we're now going to save that input against our input variable. So what we can do is we can grab the result of what we've spoken into the device and we're going to save it as an input. Okay. From then on, we can do all sorts with it. But for this exercise, we're just going to be searching for some keywords to work out a suitable response should we say hello or goodbye or something like that. Okay. So what we're going to do now is create a procedure. Okay, we are going to create a procedure and we're going to call it, I don't know, response. So this is our procedure that works out our response. Okay, so if we go back into a procedure, we'll see a call response procedure. Okay, so everything's sort of stepping through in order. We hit the button, we provide an input, it saves what we've spoken against our input variable and it runs our response procedure. Okay, now here it starts to get interesting. If we look in control, we can see we have an if block. Okay, so if something happens, then run this code. If something else happens, then run another piece of code. Simple as. Okay, and what we're going to check for to see if our piece of text, so if we look in our text block, we can see contains text piece. So all this is doing is, so any block of text we put in here, for example, we're going to make a call and we're going to get our input text. Okay, it's going to check to see if there's a word or phrase in it. In this case, we're going to say hello. Okay, so what it's going to do is going to check to see if this text here, our input text, contains the word hello. Okay, and we can bolt it in like that. So if our input contains the word hello, then we are going to change our label text. So remember that label we had? So if we click on that, okay, scroll all the way down because we can control everything about this label, the height, the font, that sort of thing, everything. We're going to look for one that says set the text. Okay, so here we're going to grab this, okay, and we're going to set the text. So this is where we provide a suitable input. Okay, and in this case, oops, excuse me, let's grab that. It's just going to say hi there. Okay, so If our input contains the word hello, then we will reply the text with a text output that says hi there. Okay? But let's get it talking. Why don't we get it to talk back to us as we saw in the introduction there? So back to Designer. Okay? So we're back in the front end now. This is what our app looks at the front end. And whereas before in our media we had our speech recognizer, we also have a text-to-speech option. So we can pick that up, drag it in. Okay? Back to our blocks, and this will allow us access to all the text-to-speech functionality available to us. And there's quite a bit. So we can change the pitch, the language, the speech rate, that sort of thing. But we are just going to grab this purple block here. Okay, so all this is going to do is, okay, it's going to speak whatever we say, whatever we're going to put here. And simply put, we're just going to speak whatever text we've pushed through to that label. So grab that block, okay, there we go, and bolt it in. Okay, so now what we've got here is we press the button, it waits an input, we speak to it, it then saves that result against our global variable called input and fires off the procedure called response. Here's our procedure here. Now our procedure is made up of an if statement, so if our input contains the word hello, then we are going to amend the text of that label on the front screen to say hi there, and we're also going to get it to speak as well. So it's going to display the words as well as speak it too. One last thing is that not everyone's going to say hello. Some people might say howdy or hi or yo. We could build different if statements for each different word, but that's not very efficient. I like to try and keep everything in a single line of code or in a single if block. Okay, so what we're going to use logic. So head on over to the logics, and we've got an OR block here. So we're going to grab an OR, okay, and we can just disconnect what we've put in place regarding that text and bolt it back in. Okay. So the nice thing is we can duplicate blocks. So instead of building them from scratch again, we can actually duplicate them, and it saves a lot of time. Okay. So here we're going to also look for the word hi. So we're not only looking for the word hello in our input, we're also looking for the word hi as well. So either of these, because we're using our OR, hello or hi, either of those words will trigger the response hi there. Okay? But we know that every time we say hello, we're going to get the response hi there. Okay, so let's build the logic in such a way that it will choose randomly a random response from a list of greetings, so that even we don't know what it's going to reply with. Okay, and we do this with lists. So if we click on lists, okay, we can make a list. Okay, and here there's a little cog. Click on that little cog and it allows us to add in more items. So we're just going to have 3 items to choose from. Okay, one of them is going to be hi there, what we've done before. We're going to grab another text block and another one as well. Okay, so we're going to have hi there, hello to you, and we can just say hey. Okay, so we have our 3 responses. To get the logic choosing randomly from that list, it's simply back into lists, okay, and we can grab this block here, pick a random item from a list. So we're going to pick randomly from this list of 3 greetings. And we can always add more by using the cog, so we could drag in another one if we wanted to, and just keep building it up that way. So, you now know the basics. You have the basic mechanics of how the chatbot works. So, the next logical thing to do would be back into control, grab another if, and then start building up more logic. Maybe we could build a response for goodbye perhaps. So actually we can probably delete this and just copy this whole if statement, okay? Because you can copy whole blocks or single blocks. We're just going to duplicate the whole if, okay? And then we can start tweaking. So we could say goodbye, or simply put, we could just put bye, okay? And then we could produce a list of suitable random responses. So we could say see ya, chat again soon, and bye bye, that sort of thing. Okay, so again we're building up the logic step by step. So now we have a suitable response or set of responses suitable if we say hello or hi, and likewise if we say goodbye or bye, then we can respond accordingly. Okay, so in our next video we'll be looking at how we can take this further and develop the logic a bit better. But for the time being, I'd recommend getting practice building up these logical if statements to deal with the most common sort of forms of elements of conversation. Any problems, just pop it in the comments and I'll do my best to reply. But I hope you found this useful and look forward to showing you more of how to build a chatbot in the next video. Take care now. Bye bye.